Welcome back to Lost Legacies. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sam.
So, if you've been caught up on all our episodes, you'll realize that we are in the middle of our 1 year podcast anniversary.
Boop, 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 boop.
Congratulations, bro.
Thank you. Congratulations, bro.
Thank you. So, we got super excited about this. So, what we did is basically just did an episode where we started asking each other questions, and it went so long, we decided to split it into two. So last week was part one. This episode is part two. So we just wanted to jump in and, kind of give context and an intro for this episode. But since we have you here, let's talk a little bit about the schedule going forward. After this, next week, we're back to our regularly scheduled program. I don't know, season 2, episode 18 of Lost, I think.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I don't remember, but we'll get a Lost episode next week. And then after that, we're going to break from tradition again, and we're going to do a little Halloween specials. Mm-hmm. So, Sam, what are we doing?
So we had two of our very wonderful friends, Mickey and Amy Martinez. They came onto the show, and we just talked to them about horror movies, our favorite horror movies, kind of like our origin stories into the horror genre. My brother, who famously does not like horror movies, kind of was there to just ask questions, and tried to determine which of the three of us, Amy, Mickey, and myself, which one was the horror aficionado of the Lost Legacies crew.
Yeah, so I'll be crowning the first annual Lost Legacies horror movie
champion.
Yeah. So it was pretty fun. It's pretty rad. And that's, when we started this podcast, we wanted to kind of shake it up. We didn't want to do only Lost stuff, but that's pretty much all we've been doing.
Yeah.
So we're kind of starting to break off, do some more things. But then after the Halloween episode, we're back to Lost. And we're going to finish out the year strong with season 2. And that's going to lead us straight into the holiday season. So we might take a break here and there for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I think we're also, last year we did a Christmas special. Maybe we'll do the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I felt like we talked everything Christmas last year. I don't know what we're going to talk about this year.
Maybe some new insights have arisen in this year, since we've been doing this podcast. Maybe we have completely new ideas about Christmas. Perhaps. Maybe we have new favorite Christmassy things, or want to talk about the state of the world at Christmas. Who knows?
Yeah, so we'll
Probably
see.
Not that last one.
We're kind of playing that by ear. We're going to see what we're going to do, but we'll definitely be dropping some content in those last couple of weeks of the year. But the main reason I'm bringing this up is because once we finish season 2, there will be a little break from Lost. So we're not going to be touching season 3 until January of 2022. So I just wanted to give everyone a heads up. In a few weeks we'll go without Lost, but we'll still have content coming out. Other than that, thanks for joining us for this past year, and we're looking forward to another year. I guess let's start this episode.
Okay. We're bringing out the big guns now.
Oh, jeez.
All right, dude. I wrote this question specifically with you in mind.
Okay.
So, Matthew Jimenez, cards on the table. Across time, beyond death, devoid of the laws of gods and man, build your dream D&D team.
Oh my God. What do you mean? Like,
I mean, if you could either be like, either you're the DM or you're a player amongst other people, how many people do you have in the party? Who's the party? Who's DMing? All of it. Give me your dream Dungeons.
Oh, okay. So the actual table, not like the game itself.
Yeah. No, not the game itself. Like, because, you could say like, oh, I want Guillermo del Toro to DM. Like, yeah, that's great, but like, I don't care about the story. I care about the people playing.
I would be player.
Okay, cool.
Because I don't get a lot of opportunities to be a player, Mars the Dungeon Master. You would be there because I've always wanted to be a player. I've always wanted us to play together as players, which,
yeah, I think that's only happened like
2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, dude, I would want Matt Mercer to DM, of course.
Okay. Cool.
Anywhere between 6 to 8 people at a table, no more.
Okay.
It would be a campaign. It wouldn't just be a one shot.
Oh, sure.
So this is pretty much like my version of Critical Role. Like who would I put?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, anyone from Critical Role. I mean, there's so many D&D people. So I'm gonna say like someone not from the D&D world. I would say like Olin Rogers.
Okay, cool.
So if you're listening, you don't know who that is. He was a fantastic YouTube like filmmaker who went on to make the Final Space cartoon, which just as of like last week got canceled.
Yeah.
RIP. He has a really inspirational video about not giving up, and he's the one who gave me the idea to give myself a 3 p.m. affirmation every day.
Hey.
I don't know. Who do I think would be really fun at the table? You see, like this is one of those things where it's really hard to answer because I think D&D is a game for everyone if they go in with an open mind.
Yeah.
So, because it can be all role play, or it could be all combat, or it could be both. It's fun. The role play is fun for people who are nervous about role playing or who have never done it before. Like, it's super simple because it's basically whatever makes you comfortable, whatever gives you fun. And that's it. So honestly, I don't know. I would want to sit at a table with a few people who are really good, who have experience, and a few people who have never played before. Because I think there's the joy of sitting down with someone who's never played Dungeons and Dragons. I see, this is where the Dungeon Master comes in. The joy of sitting down with someone who has never played Dungeons and Dragons before. It's just so like surreal, so vivid, because they realize for a lot of people, sometimes the very first time, oh, I can do anything I want. That's why a lot of people compare it to improv, because one, there's a lot of improv, it's not scripted, but it's because you can do your imagination. We as a people are never given that freedom once we grow up past being a kid. The same vibe of you playing cops and robbers, running around the backyard with your cousins. That's the same vibe we have at the table. Anything is possible. Yeah, dude, that's my answer. Like, I don't know. Like, I want to play with like half a table who know what they're doing and half who have no idea. Because also a lot of the crazy decisions and memorable moments for games come from those people who have never played before, because they think the rules are hindering them. So they're like, oh, is it okay if I do this? Is it okay if I do this? It's like, no, this is the one game where the rules are there to help you do whatever you want, or at least to try.
Yes.
At least to try.
Yeah.
That's why I love this game so much. That's why I think it is so fun, but also good for actors. Because as an actor, you're always told what to do. You can say, yeah, I'll do this, or no, I'm not going to do that. That's it. If you're playing a video game, if you're playing an open world video game, you're being told what you can do. You don't really get that choice. Like, okay, I'm going to go playing Grand Theft Auto. I'm going to go run over a hooker. Someone had to go design that. You're playing Red Dead Online. I'm going to go save that family from this gang of banditos. Someone had to design that. I want to be a bandito. Someone had to design that. Dungeons and Dragons, you're designing it. And when you see that first little spark, it's like a twinkle in the eye, or one of those squinty things on the anime characters. Yeah, I mean that's it. There's very few things more magical than playing D&D with someone who's never played before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have like your team or?
I mean, no, I was just hoping that you would have, a that you would actually like go through and like build out a whole team. But yeah.
No, you'll be there, but that's what I want. Experienced and amateurs and King Shark. Not the actors, the actual character from the Suicide Squad. I want King Shark to play D&D with us.
Okay, but which King Shark? Do you want King Shark from the Harley Quinn series, or do you want King Shark from the Suicide Squad movie?
I love both. But I would say the movie. I would say the movie.
Really?
He's just so lovable. Both are, but like the one in the cartoon, he's an intelligent person. You know?
I mean, the one in the comics is also an intelligent person.
Well, yeah, that's like comics. In the movie, there's just something like so pure about his joy and innocence, and I'm like, dude, I want to hug you, and yeah.
I would just be afraid that like if we tell him that he can stab somebody, he's gonna actually stab somebody at the table and not.
That's true.
Yeah.
King Shark, Nanawi, we're all on the same team, okay? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would pick. All right, next question. This is kind of jumping off kind of the stuff we were talking about earlier. Sam, how do you calm yourself down?
Ooh,
that's my secret, man. I don't.
I'm never calm. I file it and I compartmentalize it, and then eventually I forget about it, and then I just go on with my day until finally it comes up again, and I'm like, oh shit, that's right. Yeah, okay. That's only half joking. I mean, and I guess I'll go off on that because I'm half joking because it depends on what it is. If it's something that like, oh, I need to like react fast to it, I will sort of panic, and then I'll be like, okay, hang on. I can't panic right now. I have to do this. I have to make a decision about this thing now.
Yeah.
I can worry about the rest of it later. I can just decode my decision. I can deconstruct my entire life leading up to this point to do that, whatever. But usually I'm just like, okay, like and that's a pretty recent thing. I'd say within like the last 4 years that I've taught myself was just like, take a deep breath, make a decision now, and we can worry about worrying later. Because I don't know where this comes from, but I've always been a worrier. I've always had a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety about things. And a lot of times that has been a thing that has stopped me from doing something. It's like, yeah, I really want to go to that party. What if it's just not my vibe, or whatever? What if I make a fool of myself? Usually it's something that involves me looking a fool or looking an idiot, being made fun of. And so I just decide like, okay, like I'm not going to go do that thing. It's true with jobs. That's true, with just a lot of things. And so I have had to tell myself that like, hey, within like these situations, within every situation, there might be something that makes you uncomfortable or something that makes you angry or something. And then you just have to take a deep breath and just think things through for as long as you need to. So just as a way to calm down, it is a lot of like breathing, and it's a lot of inward looking and saying like, it's going to be fine. And if it's not fine in the next few moments, it will be fine later, but just get to a point where things are okay. And also I have also recently as the last 4 years, I have found that walking away from a situation that makes me not calm is a totally valid thing to do. If I can get away from a situation, or if I can, like do something and that will allow me to get out of that situation. Yeah, it works like gangbusters. It's fantastic. Like knowing myself enough to know what will stress me out, and then just sort of like preparing for that, and then saying like, okay, like I have enough mental capacity to like to do this, and to go and face this. And if some things get thrown my way, I get a couple of curveballs, I feel like I can handle it enough. And if I can't, I will accept that, and then I will go.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, I think a lot of people overlook it because it's so simple, but breathing.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. That's something, you know, I love acting, but I hate auditioning. I just get so nervous and all that stuff. You know, so my acting coach, she's the one who kind of like reinforced it into my head. Like, before you go, just take a deep breath, because sure, maybe it calms you down, but the real reason is because it relaxes your body, and your body changes. So when you're nervous, you get tense. If you take that deep breath, your body automatically relaxes. You have no control over it. So it automatically relaxes, and you can enter a scene like that, relax, more loose. And I think that's a good way of thinking of using it for life. Even if mentally you're not going to be relaxed, you can at least give your body the best shot at fighting, you know? That's been my whole thing as when it comes to anxiety. I feel like there's times when, like, sometimes like my brain just kind of breaks, and there's so much I can't control with the way I think. My best option is to control everything I can. One of those is breathing. It's like, okay, I can control this. That's one less thing I have to worry about. You know, if I can relax my body, I only have to worry about my mind. Also, I've for several years now, for a while now, I've been listening to ASMR. Don't ask me what it stands for, because I can't tell you. But yeah, it's meant to relax you. And because some people do meditation and stuff. I have very limited experience with meditation, so I can't say either or. But for me, like, ASMR and controlling my breathing, that's enough where it's not like, because a lot of people who talk about meditation, why they don't like it. It's like, I can't stop thinking. I can't turn my brain off. Even if I'm trying to relax myself, my mind is still wandering. There's a lot of meditation practices where you're supposed to tone it down or not really think about anything. And it's so hard for a lot of people. So I'm like, well, if you're focusing on your breathing, you have to pay attention. So you're not thinking about all other stuff. You're thinking about the breathing and your body. So automatically it's taking your focus down. ASMR is kind of the same way, where you're listening to the sounds. It's all, if you don't know what ASMR is, I really don't know what to tell you. There's a lot of it on YouTube. Just put you have to watch and listen with headphones, because it's the way they use audio, and it's a certain type of mics they use as well. And it kind of pinpoints certain parts, like certain sides of the ears or both at one time. But sometimes it causes like little, it'll give you goosebumps. So for some people, one kind of sound will give you goosebumps, and it's weird. Or maybe, I don't know, something. Some people get it from like listening to people chew. That's relaxing to them. I hate that personally. But there's so much of like food chewing ASMR. I'm like, well, good for you. That's not for me. Yeah. So yeah, it's meant to relax you, calm you down, and a lot of it is meant to help you sleep too. A lot of times I end up falling asleep at my computer. I just take a little nap. So I'm like, oh man, that was really good. So I recommend checking out, if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out ASMR Glow and ASMR GB, GIBI, because they're just really good. Kind of, you'll start to get an understanding of what ASMR is and if it does or doesn't work for you. Because if you just look up ASMR, there's some weird stuff out there. Okay. But for the most part, the community is really cool. And it is about like relaxation and helping people calm down. So yeah, ASMR Glow, ASMR GB. That's how I calm down.
Nice.
Your turn.
Very nice. All right, let's see. Okay, here's an interesting one. What's a book that you love that you think would make an incredible movie or TV series, limited series.
I'm waiting for The Alchemist. I think The Alchemist would make a great movie if done properly. I'm kind of nervous because I think Will Smith's playing The Alchemist.
Really?
Yeah, like he's
Wait,
producing.
they're actually making an Alchemist movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Paulo Coelho, the author, he gave it, the thumbs up. I don't know. Like throughout the years, my feelings on Will Smith have changed here and there. I like him behind the scenes more than I do like the characters he plays and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what he says about The Alchemist and his feelings about it. Like he's got the idea right. I just don't think, I don't want to be rude or anything, but he's a leading man and he knows it and he has to be a leading man.
Mm.
That's Will Smith. I don't think that's the type of artist to play The Alchemist. I know for a long time, Idris Elba was interested. I'm like, I think that would have been a badass choice.
Mm. Hey, we'll see though. Like, maybe
it might be good. Like, I'll wait. I'll give it a shot. I'll see what happens. Also, the director's never directed before. I know he's produced a lot of stuff. So if it's the same guy I'm thinking of, I think I remember seeing that because there was, when they announced it, there was a little behind the scenes clip. All right. So what about you?
Oh, geez. I always hate this because I never think about my own answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm thinking about you. Let's see. What books do I got in here? What books? What would be a good Game of Thrones? That'd be an interesting series, I think.
Yeah. No, we should do it. I don't think you get it 3 right. Movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3 movies, but like no longer than 2 hours, like 120 minutes tops. Maybe the last one could be like 140, but
yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I kind of, okay, I'll say this. I want more stuff that Ray Bradbury did. I want to see more. I want to see more adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly just because, like, I want to see adaptations that get his stuff right. Because I feel like there have been a lot that just like they don't hit the mark. Like they kind of just miss it. Because for the longest time I was, and I guess I'm still kind of on this. It's like I want to do Fahrenheit 451. I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to give it the same sort of feeling that I got when I read it. Because when I read it, like it just looked something that was like kind of looked like how you were describing, when you're building something, you build it to last, which is the last thing you want in theater. It's like that's flimsy. Like you need it to be taken down quickly. Like, and I feel like that's kind of the feeling that I get from that story, where it's like this, like society as a whole has taken away so many things from itself, so many things that we don't know are kind of like part of the building blocks and part of the foundations of society itself. So once we take away art, once we take away music, once we take away books, all this stuff, these things that show expression in a way to control violence, or curb, deviance. I feel like once that happens, society starts to get worse, and the devious nature starts to manifest in a way that's about control. Which is kind of what that's always about. I know like a lot of people say that like the book is about censorship, which is kind of true. Whether or not Bradbury wanted it to be about censorship, that wasn't really the point. But his point was people finding and putting an emphasis on other things that then take the place and then start to make that thing more important. He also wrote it in response to the book burning that was going on during World War II.
Yeah.
Like that was his biggest response. Like what happens when we grow up in a world without books, in a world that doesn't privilege reading, and not just reading, but just like the gaining of knowledge, the passing on of information. So yeah. And I feel like every attempt to like do that story kind of doesn't get that. They get the idea of the society, but they miss the point of like why the book is so powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that one.
Okay. Ooh, here's a interesting one. What is your favorite film soundtrack?
Ooh, film soundtrack. That's interesting. There have been a lot. There have been a lot of really good ones. Because like I want one instantly came to my head as soon as you said that, and I'm trying to think if there's like another one that I could talk about at length right now,
Mhm.
but I don't know if there is. So I'm just gonna say this one.
Go for it. Do it.
It's the film soundtrack to Star Trek Generations.
Oh, nice. Deep cut. Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, like I could go on about like the Lord of the Rings. But like, oh,
Yeah.
it's breathtaking. How did Howard Shore do all of that?
Mhm.
I could go on about stuff like that. I talk, Hans Zimmer, John, all a bunch of stuff. But I feel like there's something that I connect with the Star Trek Generations score on like a deeper level or like a personal level. I don't know how to explain it, but there's musical choices in it that I'm just like, wow, like that's interesting. And I also feel like it's not something like it's not music that we've heard in a Trek movie before or since.
Right. Yeah.
Because a lot of the music from the Star Trek movies are always like they're bombastic. It's like this is about the discovery, like not the ship, but like the ship is cool, but it's about the discovery aspect of Star Trek, or it's about the adventure, and it's about like the space battles, all that stuff. And then once we get to like the '09 movies and on, it's like, oh, like this is action packed, like we're going for it. But when you get to Star Trek Generations, that soundtrack, I don't know, like it has a certain timeless quality to it. And I think that's kind of key because that movie itself is about time, and it's about, the people's different connections with time. The fact that, spoilers for Star Trek Generations, the fact that Kirk is disposed out of his own timeline, and everybody thinks he's dead when he's technically not. The fact that Picard ends up becoming obsessed and worried about his legacy, and he keeps thinking like, maybe I didn't give myself enough time to have my own family. Maybe I should have, maybe I should have taken that part of legacy and had one myself, because now that my family is dead, what is my legacy? Things like that. The fact that the villain is caught up in this singular moment where he lost everybody and has done horrible things and will continue to do horrible things just to get back to a shadow of what his family is. Like, it's really cool. It's such a great movie. And I feel like everybody's just like, they're just like, whatever, generation of Kirk. That's not how Kirk does it. Whatever, shut the hell up. But the back to the score, yeah, it's not as obsessed with adventure or action. There's a legitimate worry, when like the Klingons are attacking, or when, or when Kirk, is hanging off of that bridge, they're trying to stop something. Like there's something that just doesn't resonate the same way with First Contact, or Wrath of Khan, or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it. And the fact that like, it doesn't even end with, I actually don't think like the music, like the main Trek themes, they're only in the actual soundtrack for like portions of seconds. Like he never gives us like the Next Generation theme in full. It's always just like, it's the leitmotif of it, or it's the leitmotif of, like, oh, this is the Enterprise theme, things like that, like whatever. Or
it's like the end credits.
Yeah, or the end credits. But even then, we only get the little snippets of the Next Gen right at the end of the movie. And then when we cut into the end credits, it's like, it's that beautiful, song, dun, 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 na, na, na. Like it's the movie theme.
It's something
instead
about
of a show.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that music. It just, it sounds like there's like hope to it, but it's like a celebration.
Yeah.
To me, that theme for generations is like a celebration of Star Trek, because
Mhm.
that's the movie where these two iconic captains meet,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like a celebration of Star Trek. It's a celebration of everything Star Trek represents. And it really, I mean, it's kind of teased throughout, but it's when, you know, they're in the Nexus and they're riding horses of all things, you know.
Mhm.
Picard and Kirk are riding horses through Montana, and it's just this beautiful, sweeping, epic score. And it's just something legendary about it, you know.
Mhm.
It's like a fanboy scored this, you
Yeah.
know. It's like, yes, these are two legends, and they're coming to what they deem as the end of their story, which is kind of interesting because Kirk's the one looking for a second chance, and he sacrifices it, and he sacrifices himself. Whereas Picard is looking at the end of of the Picard legacy. He's looking at the end of his life,
Mhm.
but yet he's the one who survives and walks away with this new chapter, you
Mhm.
know, learning from Kirk. There's just something legendary about that scene and that moment. And I love that movie. And I don't agree with the way, spoiler, Kirk dies in this movie. I don't like that at all. And I definitely think Malcolm McDowell as the villain was very underutilized, and it could have been done really cool.
Oh, sure, sure.
But I love this movie.
Mhm.
You know, I think it's really good. And especially, I love the next gen movies so much more. I always loved them as a kid, but I love them even more as I get older, because I see how much of the series is in them. Now that I'm
Mhm.
watching this show as an adult, I'm like, I'm recognizing all these moments in the movies that they called back to, like just little character traits here and there. I was like, wow.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a good one, man. Wow. I don't know what mine would be.
Mm.
I see the easy one would be Gladiator, because it's still one of my favorites, you know,
Mm. Okay.
Hans Zimmer.
Mhm.
But I think I'm gonna have to say, even if it's not my favorite, it's one of my favorites. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I
Mm.
think that's John Williams at his best, because just the score of Indy is, it's very much like you can hear little bits of everything. You can
Mhm.
hear a little bit of Star Wars, you can hear a little bit of Superman, and I think it's just because the genre.
Mhm.
This is like, this is their his version of the swashbuckling adventures, you know. He's a punch 'em up explorer adventure. These are these are like the serials, you know, based off
Mhm.
those old serials.
Mhm.
And he wanted that music, but there's so much heart and history in this music, the way he composes.
Yeah.
I don't, I guess it's the Grail theme. I don't know what it is, but like the little theme he uses for the Grail and throughout when they're talking about the Grail, I think that's his single best work in his whole career.
Mhm. I can agree with that.
It's I can't hum it. It's just I would just screw it up. But yeah, so for this, I would definitely go Indiana Jones, Last Crusade,
Okay.
John Williams.
I like that. I like that. All right. What are three things that you think about most every day? Now, not like work related stuff either. Like, oh, like I got to remember like this stuff, this stuff. Like, no, just like what are some things that are almost constantly on your mind at any given point?
Hmm, it's gonna sound so weird because I know, like, I came up with the answers instantly, but I'm trying to think of like if there's something more important. um, do you have yours?
uh, yeah, I think.
Because I'm still thinking. Well, what are yours? You know, give me some inspiration here.
Okay.
Three things you think about every day.
Here's one. One thing I think about mostly every day: space colonization.
Okay.
I think we're going about it all wrong.
Okay.
Everybody want like we got three rich assholes right now trying to shoot for Mars, and we're just blowing past the moon. We're just like, no, we're gonna colonize Mars by 2050. You know, we're gonna have the people living on the moon doing that stuff. Like, look, as much as I would like to colonize Mars, you know, as much as I would like, first of all, let's try and reframe. Like, we got to terraform Mars first. Okay, we got to think about like how we're going to effectively live there first, you know, before we can even start think about using a word like colonization. Like, no, like we like, yeah. Anyway, but I think Mars is the wrong idea. You got to go to the moon. One, because it's shorter. It's a shorter trip. You're going to expend a lot less resources going from Earth to the moon than you are going from Earth to Mars. Now, the same problem still exists because it's like, yeah, if there's a problem, you're going to have to figure it out kind of on your own because help is, you know, a month away at least, you know, or however long it takes. Like it's just a long way away. Help isn't arriving anytime soon. So you got to think about that. But I feel like you can do the things that you want to do on Mars. You can do them on the moon. And I feel like, one, you can use the moon as a testing ground. And I feel like it's a much better place to launch from if we just make the moon kind of like a way station, you know, or you know, like it's the point, you know, it's the crossroads, you know, it's like it's the one point before you get to your main destination. Like you go to the moon, you refuel your tanks, whatever, you restock your supplies, and then you go off to Mars. You know, it's like, so if we put everything to build stuff onto Mars, again, we put all that stuff on the moon first, figure out all that works, then we can do that. Secondly, on top of the space colonization, I really am fascinated with the cloud city ideas that some scientists formulated about going to Venus and making their like floating cities in the clouds. One, because I feel like that's probably going to be the best way to start colonization of a planet. You can't put something on the surface, you know, you have to do you have to, you know, like one, you can use it as like an observatory point, but you can also use it as you know, for a survey, you know, expedition, and you can also use it to start formulating how are you going to get water on this planet. You know, like if we can find a way to gather moisture from Venus, you know, and like use that, oh, okay, like we'll gather moisture from Venus, take it to the moon, take it to Mars, you know, all that stuff. Like we can do all that. But I feel like those are the two planets that we need to be looking at first before we even begin to start, you know, saying like, oh, I'm going to, you know, give this spot of Mars to my best friend, you know, or I'm going to give, you know, this spot to my wife, you know, things like that. Like, no. We can't start divvying up Mars until we perfect space travel. And so we need to be looking at the moon and Venus first. So that's one.
Well, I think you're off to the right start because isn't NASA trying to get people to the moon by 2024?
Yeah, I think so.
So I think that's the whole thing. We're going back to the moon and we're going to stay.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that makes sense. What are the other two things you think of every day?
Oh, let's see. One of the other things that I think about every single day is getting up and just walking into a wood somewhere.
Never coming back?
Potentially never coming back.
Well, you can't just say potentially. Do you mean to do it on purpose or do you think you're going to go die?
I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. I think about just getting up and going to a woods. Like, Can I, you know, it's like, so yeah, like, okay, that's mostly a joke answer. But the idea of just being so done.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. As much as I need repetition in my day to day as like a schedule based thing of like, okay, like I have to go to work these days of the week. On my days off, okay, this is how I plan out my days so that I can have, I don't know, maximum efficiency of enjoyment. You know, like, oh, okay, I'm out of work now. I have such and such hours before I need to start going to bed, you know, doing all that stuff. So I have to, you know, maximize my time that way. As much as I need that, I hate that I need that. And every day I try to think of a way to just give myself more time for me and for the things that I want to do. Because then the third thing that I'm thinking about is all the things that I want to do. I'm constantly thinking of stories and things that I want to write or stuff that I want to talk about, all these things. And then I have to be like, okay, well, I can only do one of those things now. So what am I going to do? And then it becomes the thing of like, well, what's more important? What have I been thinking about the longest? All that crap. So half of that time is worried about like, okay, what am I going to work on? How do I choose what to work on? So yeah, those are mostly the three things that I'm thinking about at any given point during the day.
And not even your wife.
I mean, she's factored into the like, I need to maximize my time to spend with people.
God, I have to find time for my wife.
Oh my God. Okay, now you make me sound like an asshole. Geez. Shout out to my wife because I love her very much and decided to share my life with her and go into the great unknown adventure that is life together. Yes, geez, don't make me out to be the asshole. No, it's just a thing of like yeah, like I also like, okay, I need to find time to like text everybody, that I'm like, oh, okay, like, like gotta answer this text, like, oh, gotta send off this email to a friend really quick, do all that stuff. And read these things that, my friends are like, hey, you should check that out. Oh, well, I don't want to be a bad friend and not do the thing. So I want to do the, I'm going to find time to do that.
So yeah, well, okay. So three things I think of every day. I'm trying to think of what I could say. One, D&D. Because I love that
Yeah.
game, and I'm always thinking about like how I can make my game, how we can play, stuff like that. Two, I was gonna say a specific character, but I think it kind of boils down to what you're saying, like my projects, because it's a character of my creation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love this character so much. I made a playlist for them and I listen to it like every single day at work because the story is constantly going through my head. So I could just kind of sum that up as the stuff I want to do, stories I want to tell, things I want to write. Lastly, I would say one particular person, an old friend of mine who I will not name on this podcast. Yeah.
Cryptic.
Those are the three things. Well, because I don't want to call her out on a public podcast. So yeah, those are like the three things like any day I would automatically think of.
Okay.
At some point. Okay. So now this is the last question. I get my last one. This is the one I've wanted to ask you for a while. Sam, out of everything that I'm into, movies, video games, TV shows, books, etc.
Oh shit.
What don't you care about the most?
Oh man. Oh, what a call out. Oh geez. Oh man, I don't know. I feel like I need more time with this question, but damn it. I don't know. The easiest one would have to be like the Fast and the Furious. Like,
okay.
Like I know how much you love that series, like unironically love that series. And for me, I'm just kind of like, yeah, they're movies. They're big, fun, dumb movies that have the message of family in it. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's just the surface one that I can think of off the top of my head. There might be something like a band or something, or just I don't know. I guess cool. That would just be my answer. Fast and Furious.
Right on.
All right. What about you?
Oh, I don't know. I would probably just say I think the easiest answer would be My Chemical Romance.
Son of a bitch, I knew it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like so much of the music that you listen to, we share a lot of music, but I just can't get into that. I can't get into that. Yeah.
Wow.
So
this is where it comes to.
That's where it comes in.
That's the note we're gonna end this podcast on.
Well, dude, this was fun. We might have to do another one of these soon. Because I have a whole bunch of questions left, but yeah.
I'm gonna make more. I'm gonna make more questions.
Oh yeah, me too. So everyone, thanks for joining us for this past year. It's been fun. Hopefully,
It's been a blast.
we can see you again for another year. Who knows?
Yes.
But yeah, find us online, hashtag Lost Legacies. You can find me on Twitter _Matt Jimenez and on Instagram at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Reel, that's REEL, Texas Weirdo.
Till next time, get lost.
Get lost.